Britain's natural beauty is often overlooked. So let's take a walk on the wild side, over our green and pleasant land. Along our rugged coastline. And around the 6,000 islands that make up the British Isles. Over one dramatic year, we'll follow the extraordinary wildlife on our doorstep. From the familiar to the surprising. We share this truly special part of the planet with millions of animals. This place we're lucky enough to call home is a natural wonder. Britain's Waterworlds. From beautiful Scottish lochs and golden reed beds to southern swamps and the ponds in our back gardens. These wetlands are some of our richest places for wildlife. Home to our biggest birds, our cleverest spiders, our best swimmers, and our finest formation flyers. These are wild corners we rarely explore, out-of-reach places, hidden havens, where mysterious creatures lurk in the shadows. And if we delve a little deeper, they hold many secrets waiting to be discovered. In a quiet corner of Devon, a huge network of ponds. A wetland paradise brimming with wildlife. Just 4 years ago, these large pools didn't even exist. But this mysterious water world hasn't been created by man. It's been engineered by an animal absent from our waterways for centuries. The beaver. In fact, this is home to a family of 8 beavers, a colony made up of parents and their young, all less than 2 years old. These industrious creatures are the size of a large dog. They've blocked a small stream by building 6 dams, several meters long and up to 2 meters high. In the process, they've created a series of deep pools, a sanctuary where the beavers can live and feed in safety. This mum is well adapted for life in the water. Her webbed hind feet and paddle-like tail make her a powerful swimmer. It's a tail with many uses. A slap on the surface warns of danger to the rest of the colony. Normally associated with North America, these European cousins were hunted to extinction in Britain over 400 years ago for their meat and fur. But now, small, reintroduced populations are spreading through our waterways once again. They have a highly specialized double-layered coat, soft, short fur for warmth, and a longer waterproof layer. Looking after it takes time and effort. They spend hours grooming. Glands at the base of the tail produce a water-repellent oil. Their hand-like front paws smother it over their body. A great excuse for a good old scratch. Beaver life might seem pretty relaxed, but they're far from lazy. They spend most of their time eating the plants and trees that make up their vegetarian diet, and collecting branches to maintain their watery home. As night approaches, these mainly nocturnal rodents really get to work. The sound of running water alerts this male to a leak. A large breach and the protective moat could disappear. So repair work starts immediately. First, he fills the gap with mud. Then he goes in search of something more substantial. Beavers are nature's lumberjacks, expert tree fellers. Their razor-sharp teeth mean they can fell a 2-meter tree in just 5 minutes. It doesn't take long to fix the leak and preserve the colony's safety. It's a huge effort to maintain this watery home, and every animal that lives here depends on the beaver's hard work. But life isn't always so harmonious in our wetlands. Even in these seemingly safe havens, danger is never far away. Our British wetlands are the realm of a cold-blooded killer. Rarely seen, a silent assassin patrols a lake in Kent, searching for her next meal. Up to 2 meters long, grass snakes are Britain's largest reptile. And despite their misleading name, their hunting ground is the water. Distinguished by an olive-green body and black bars along the flanks, this female grass snake glides effortlessly through the water. She's non-venomous, relying on strong jaws to grab and swallow her prey. Her forked tongue smells in stereo, helping her to pinpoint her food. Amphibians are top of her hit list, making up 80% of her diet. The tadpole of a great crested newt floats just below the surface. For the moment, it's safe, but to come up for air now could be fatal. Using her excellent eyesight, the grass snake locks onto her target. Luckily, the tadpole has no need to surface. Its headdress of feathery gills allows it to breathe underwater. It dives out of sight. time to move on. The snake's sinuous contractions propel her through the water. Few creatures are safe from this swamp monster. She'll also eat fish, small mammals, and even birds. Which is why some go to extraordinary lengths to avoid her. Deep in our British reed beds, there's a secretive bird that's found the ultimate hiding place. The reed warbler. It seldom leaves this marshy jungle, so the only way to catch sight of one is to wade into their world. Britain's reed warblers have staged a remarkable revival. We now have 80% more birds than we did 50 years ago. Understanding their success could help other animals that aren't doing so well. It's a puzzle Dr. David Leach is trying to crack. By studying the reed warblers in these reed-fringed pools in Norfolk. The nest is among the most amazing constructions built by any bird. Suspended high above the water, it's a tightly woven cup of flower heads, tied to the reed's waving stems. Feather-lined, it's a cozy home for 4 hungry chicks. Their parents work in shifts to bring them insects every 5 minutes. The weight of a 2-pound coin, this tiny bird has travelled 3,000 miles from Africa to breed here. This is one of 70 nests that David knows on this site.
I'm just going to reach in and carefully take one of these chicks out of the nest.
David rings the chicks when they are around 5 days old. He gives them a unique code so he can track them throughout their life. Over the years, David's ringed an astonishing 2,500 chicks. With their eyes barely open and no feathers, it's hard to believe these tiny chicks will leave the nest in just a week. In another nest, these 8-day-old youngsters look on course to fledge soon. But there's a dark side to this reed warbler story. They share the reed beds with a bird we know well, thanks to its familiar call. The cuckoo, the villain of this story. An anonymous chick hatches in a reed warbler nest. It's an imposter. Masters of deception, cuckoos lay a single egg in the nests of other birds. And they love reed warbler nests. The cuckoo chick has hatched first, and within hours it gets to work. Still blind, driven only by a killer instinct, she ejects the reed warbler eggs from the nest, using special claws at the tips of her featherless wings. The unsuspecting parents continue to feed the cuckoo con artist. It grows and grows until it's 3 times the size of its adoptive mum. But there's another side to this tale. Cuckoos are struggling in Britain. We've lost 3/4 of the population in the last 50 years. So reed warblers offered them a lifeline. Their recent success could help cuckoos recover as well. These hidden worlds are full of secrets, known by only a few. And even our well-trodden paths have some watery surprises. Along the edges of our ponds, canals and lakes, places we often take a walk, there's a charming little creature you'll be lucky to spot. Immortalized as Ratty in The Wind and the Willows, he's actually a water vole. His fast-paced life needs a lot of fuel. Water voles eat 80% of their body weight a day. That's like you or me eating 50 cabbages. Their long front teeth are the perfect tool for chopping up the 227 different plants that make up their diet. But their greatest challenge is finding somewhere to live. Water voles need a secure waterside burrow in which to hide away. Come summer, youngsters venture out on their own. They're in a race to find the perfect home. And the property market is flooded with first-time buyers. This one has found a suitable spot and starts digging a secret underwater entrance. This is a prime location with a handy nearby restaurant. An island of tasty grass. Another vole has come to look around, but he's definitely not welcome. Water voles are fiercely territorial, prepared to fight to the death. A raised tail signals defeat, and the intruder beats a hasty retreat. The perfect home for a water vole is one with good access to food and an easy escape route. Because water voles make a tasty snack for so many predators. Most don't reach their second birthday. The warmer weather brings a busy time for another of our lovable wetland characters. For Mr. Toad, spring is all about finding a mate. Amorous amphibians gather at large ponds like this one in Somerset. Once they awake from hibernation, they return to their birthplace to breed. A journey of up to 2 miles. Males arrive first and eagerly await the larger females. When one finally appears, she quickly draws a crowd of suitors, all desperate to mate. With 5 males for every female, she soon disappears beneath a frenzy of thrashing bodies. More and more testosterone-fueled males join in. They create a toad ball, smothering the hapless female. Their enthusiasm can be deadly. Some females are crushed and drown in the chaos. For the males, it's a test of strength. Only one will get to mate. One by one, the weaker toads let go, leaving a single victor, the strongest toad around. The exhausted couple break away, searching for a quiet place to lay. In the next 24 hours, they weave a 7-meter chain of spawn among the plants. Within days, the pool is laced with thousands of eggs. The next generation has been secured. To the east, on the Suffolk coast, romance is a little more refined. The Avocet is a dapper chap, the elegant aristocrat of our wetlands. These wading birds were extinct in Britain 160 years ago, but now they're a regular sight up and down the country. During the Second World War, flooded military defences along our east coast inadvertently gave Avocets a new home. Many of these man-made wetlands remained, and Britain is now home to 1,500 breeding pairs. Their diet of small insects and shrimps requires a special tool, unique amongst British birds. A long, upturned beak sweeps from side to side, searching for food. In spring, the Avocets need plenty of energy. It's the breeding season, and males and females are gathering for a strange ritual in the shallows. A female strikes an elegant pose to show she's in the mood. The male mustn't be too keen. He preens himself while gently stepping around his paramour, doing his best to hold her attention. Eventually, he makes his move. It's all over in a flash. Crossed bills mark the end of this graceful courtship. The female lays up to 4 eggs in a shallow scrape on the ground. This exposed nest needs both parents to protect it. A tough job for these delicate-looking birds. But appearances can be deceptive. Once nesting begins, these graceful birds reveal a feisty side. The lagoon is a crowded space, but that's no excuse. Trespassers aren't tolerated, regardless of their size. Black-headed gulls are the Avocet's greatest threat. An unattended egg would make an easy meal. After 3.5 weeks, the chicks finally arrive. They feed themselves almost straight away. But it's a few days before the beak gets its distinctively upturned shape. With predators all around, their life still hangs in the balance. Less than half of all chicks will make it. But each one that does is another victory for one of Britain's greatest conservation success stories. Britain's most iconic wetlands are our reed beds. Reeds grow in many of our water worlds. Here in Suffolk, this single plant takes over the landscape. This golden carpet provides a safe haven for many creatures. Including the lord of the reeds, the Marsh harrier. With their broad, metre-wide wings, they can float slowly over the reeds, a technique known as quartering. Methodically, they scan for small mammals, frogs or chicks. Every year, our resident marsh harriers are joined by migrants from Africa, ready to breed. They hide their nests deep within the reeds. But their young are exposed at ground level. Otters, stoats and gulls are all on the hunt for an easy meal. So the harriers do everything they can to keep the location a secret. Dad does most of the hunting. When he makes a catch, instead of flying to the nest, he calls to Mum. She flies out to meet him, and when she's underneath him, he releases his catch, and she expertly snatches the food in mid-air. This dramatic display is dual purpose. It secures the parents' bond and means that only the female need return to the nest, helping to keep the youngsters hidden. These majestic birds of prey are actually some of our most vulnerable creatures. 50 years ago, there was just one breeding pair in Britain, as many of the reed beds were drained. But thanks to a huge effort by conservationists, marsh harrier numbers are now at their highest in a century. Some of the most beautiful and majestic views in Britain are the deep water lakes and lochs of northern England and Scotland. Glaciers of the last ice age gouged deep valleys, and when the ice melted, these great hollows filled with water. Tucked away in Scotland's Cairngorms National Park is Loch Petulish, a place of apparent tranquility. But lurking beneath the surface is Britain's top freshwater predator, A creature with a formidable reputation. The pike, otherwise known as the water wolf. Its torpedo-like body can reach 1.5 meters long. Most of us have no idea that such an impressive beast lurks within many of Britain's waterways. Pike are ambush predators. With razor-sharp teeth, they grab anything from frogs and fish to ducklings and voles. They use their array of fins to make fine adjustments, allowing them to sit motionless and unnoticed. Their long, muscular bodies are perfectly built for quick bursts of speed. Once they've picked their target, they can propel themselves at speeds of 10 miles an hour. It's a dramatic world beneath the surface that only a few are lucky enough to glimpse. Summer brings a familiar sight to our wetlands. Dragonflies and dainty damselflies with their dazzling colours. These are some of the most successful animals on our planet. They've been here since before the dinosaurs. But few of us have seen the extraordinary emergence of these prehistoric dragons. This 5-centimetre alien is an immature dragonfly called a larva. She sheds her hard outer casing up to 15 times, allowing her to grow. After 2 years underwater, she's embarking on a remarkable journey as she finally leaves her watery nursery. Now the stage is set for one of nature's most incredible transformations. From a creature of science fiction nightmare into one of the jewels of the British summer. New life writhes within her weary body. Pressure builds, and her outer skin bursts open, giving the first tantalizing glimpse of a very different creature. This is the most dangerous moment in her life. She's an easy meal for any passing bird. She gulps a first breath of air, inflating her body. Blood-like fluid pumps into her wrinkled wings, which gradually unfurl. She's vulnerable. She can't fly until her body and wings have hardened. But with hundreds of millions of years of practice, she's timed this magical moment to perfection. She emerges in the early hours of the morning while most predators are still asleep. As her wings harden, they turn translucent. An hour later, they open, and a southern hawker dragonfly dazzles in the early morning light. The powerful muscles in her body start to warm up, preparing for her maiden flight. The wings charge up, and she's away. Most adult dragonflies live for only 2 weeks, a brief spell in which to find a mate. Some give rise to a spectacle, little understood and rarely ever seen. Dawn on the watery reed beds of the Somerset levels. Dragonflies have been roosting overnight. Covered in dew, they're cold, wet and lethargic, waiting for the morning sun. These 4-spotted chasers have distinctively tapered bodies, unlike any other dragonfly. And unlike any other dragonfly, they've gathered en masse, perched quite still in their hundreds. This phenomenon has only been witnessed a handful of times. Perhaps they're seeking safety in numbers, but no one knows for sure. The rising sun charges them up. As soon as their wings are dry, they lift off, ending this magical show. Our wetlands' creepy crawlies are food for many birds. But one has an ingenious way of hiding. The water spider. One of around 650 species in Britain, is the only spider in the world to live almost entirely underwater. Although aquatic, this female still needs to breathe air. So, she takes it with her. She collects it from the surface. It clings to the hairs on her abdomen and legs. She can breathe through her tummy for short bursts of time, but she needs a more permanent supply. She starts by spinning an underwater web, using silk from her spinnerets. This web isn't to catch prey. She's building her own scuba tank. By collecting large bubbles, she gradually creates a reservoir of air. A subaquatic chamber encased in a waterproof silk layer. The casing requires careful reinforcing. She needs it to be as big as possible. It takes several trips to the surface before her bubble has enough air. A huge effort for a tiny spider. As well as an air supply, it's an underwater sanctuary for a much-needed rest. And a dry place where she can care for her all-important hairs. Now she only needs to go up to the surface once a day to top up her tank. It's an extraordinary way for a spider to conquer an alien world. In winter, these wetlands attract millions of birds from northern Europe, taking advantage of our milder weather. And one species we don't usually think of as a water bird finds food and sanctuary in some of the soggiest parts of the country. 8 million starlings arrive from the continent to join our resident flocks. During the day, they feed in small flocks across our countryside and in our back gardens. Black from a distance, but up close their plumage looks bright and iridescent. Starlings are intelligent birds, always scouting an opportunity. If one finds a new food source, it tells the rest of the flock. At a farm in Pembrokeshire in West Wales, they arrive like clockwork, checking in as the cattle are fed 3 times a day. Thousands of starlings wait in the wings for an easy meal. This time of year, they need to eat half of their body weight every day. Probing the silage with their beaks, they search for energy-rich maize seeds hidden inside. Then a quick drink to wash it all down. In the late afternoon, they head towards their roost site, joining with other flocks along the way. And it's the nearby reed beds that offer refuge for the night. These spectacular gatherings happen the length and breadth of Britain, from Aberdeenshire to Cornwall, Lancashire to Kent. And just before they stop for the night, they put on a breathtaking show. Tens of thousands of small bodies seemingly flying as one. But predators are gathering too. Hen harriers, marsh harriers, kestrels, and peregrine falcons, all eyeing up an opportunity for a feast over the reeds. They're up against the world's best formation flyers. Starlings can react 10 times faster than any human pilot. These swirling movements, called murmurations, make it hard for predators to target one bird in the middle of a hypnotizing flock. But the world's fastest bird takes them on. The peregrine. Seizing his moment, he accelerates into the flock to make a catch, punching a hole in the starling's tight cloud. But the vast majority make it. dropping down into the safety of the reeds. And the dance of the starlings is over. Millions of birds, along with many other creatures, seek shelter and protection in our water worlds. These are places with more diversity than anywhere else in Britain, providing refuge for an extraordinary array of animals. Water brings safety for many, but in these precious pools, competition is fierce. Survival means knowing if your neighbours are friend or foe. But the charm of our water worlds is in the secrets and mysteries that still lie within.